Good morning.
Last week before camp started, you said that you'd be disappointed if you didn't look sharp out there, given the things that you guys have chosen to focus on. How do you feel 1 week before camp about the things that you guys are trying to do well?
Really pleased, honestly, which is shocking to me. But I mean, when I say really pleased, it's a back and forth. You wish. That's probably a good thing to see how each side responds. We've been a little inconsistent in special teams, which was disappointing. I think we'll get that fixed and be okay. But offensively and defensively, it's been some good back and forth. And I think our kids are gaining an understanding of both schemes and making the checks and adjustments that we need to. And so I'm pretty pleased 1 weekend. The effort has been great. It's been a little too chippy and unprotective a couple days, and I don't know exactly how to balance that. I think I guess you can go the route of not having a lot of contact, but I just don't know that you can win in this league without having some physical practices in camp, and it scares me to death, truthfully, because we need to stay healthy. We're not that deep in places, and so we've stressed that heavily the last 3 days of trying to practice cleaner without people on the ground, and it has gotten a little better, but we had 2 days in a row that were some really scary things when you watch the film that easily could have hurt somebody. And so I think everybody's dealing with that to a certain extent, and me just trying to figure out exactly how to approach that, particularly with 2 scrimmages coming up, and it's not the easiest thing. I don't know that I have the answer.
You talk about depth. What's it like as a head coach and an offensive guy to look at the offensive line and start to see depth in the middle and even at tackle in just a short time?
Yeah, we're forming some. I tell you, he didn't get a lot. That didn't get talked about a lot. Joyner's really surprised me, truthfully. He's going to be a really solid backup for us and can play all 3 in the middle. Tate is leading, and gosh, just he's practicing really, really hard, and so I feel really good about those 2. And I tell you, Drake Carter's got something to him now. He's just a freshman, and needs to get stronger and all of that, but he moves people. And so those 3, along with Tyler Johnson and Ronan Chambers has done some good things too at tackle. So feel like we're developing some depth there.
Still in the front row, Nathan and then Jay. Nathan and then Jay.
You mentioned that intensity and kind of like you said, those scary moments. Was that just a little too much physicality during the play, or was it extracurricular stuff? I guess I would just
No, we hadn't had a lot of extracurricular stuff. You always have a little of that. I only remember 2 of those, and they weren't terrible. But it's in the play. It's whether it's inside running, there's defensive line runs a twist and everybody gets tangled up, and now there's 5 guys on the ground on top of each other, or a running back is going through the hole during that drill, and that happens, and it's that far from hitting the bottom of his leg on his ankle or somewhere. And then in one-on-ones is always a challenge to get the DBs to stay off when they're in trail position, to stay off the back of the receivers. That's kind of how Dre Lambert got his ankle. So it's most of it's been during the plays, just people getting after it and being physical, and just too many bodies on the ground.
Jay.
Yeah, question about the offense so far. Have you been able to get enough data on, are things flowing more smoothly this year? Has Peyton stepped up his game, just the offense in general?
Pleased 1 weekend. I think Peyton is gaining an understanding of my mind and Nick's mind on how we see this offense operating. and what we depend upon him to fix. And he's had some really good moments where he did some things that made me go, all right, that was smart. And then it's all about him understanding what the fixes are, particularly in our RPO game and in our protection game. And I think he and Hank and Holden all, and Walker has looked incredible in 7-on-7, and the game is a little fast for him right now. In the 11-on-11 world, when he's got to think about the protections and fixing those, that's new to him a bit. But as far as him getting 7-on-7, and he knows the routes that are running, man, he looks really good. So I'm pleased with them to this point. We've thrown a lot at them, and I think we only have one more install, and then try to throw everything together for the last few days of camp before you get into a game plan situation.
Second row left, Bergen and Bill.
You on the defensive line, the interior guys, you've got a lot of guys there, but have you seen any kind of separation there, any guys kind of sticking out of those tackle spots?
Yeah, I said before, I think, until we really get in the season, I don't know. Marcus Harris was pretty dominant. Do we have that guy? I don't know. I do think we have 6 to 7 bodies that fit the prototype of what you need in there. And I think what DJ is able to do defensively is use their skill sets to create some negative plays. Isaiah's got the potential to be that guy. Phillip is strong as I've had. You got Gage and Trill and Bobby and TJ Lindsey's coming on, Malik Blockton. So we got some guys in there, and I think it's just going to be Jason Jones has led well, seems to be playing harder, more consistently. So I think we got some guys that you can rotate in there, and hopefully them playing a limited number of plays, being really fresh, even helps us.
In the return game, how are things looking? I know Keontae and Jarquez have both told us that they want to be back there at the punt kickoffs.
I doubt Keontae's going to return kickoffs very seriously, and probably maybe not even Jarquez. I know he wants to, but Keontae's been out with a hamstring, so we hadn't. Man, you look at Malcolm Simmons, Bryce, Dre Leonard-Smith, all are pretty solid at the punt return game. Probably, if I had to say today, you probably look at Jeremiah Cobb returning kickoffs primarily, but that's today.
Third row.
Hugh, there's been talk all offseason and even into fall camp about the guys in the secondary. You have a couple of really experienced guys, and then you described it back in the spring, a lot of young puppies that we're going to have to play early and often. As you're a week in and you get to see them on the field and practice a little bit, do you have any more confidence in those younger guys? And if so,
Yeah, J.D. Law is really having a good camp, and we need him. He has length, he has speed, size. Kind of messed his shoulder up a little bit, and he's been in a yellow jersey, hasn't been able to do it. But man, the first 4 or 5 days, he was really coming on. Crawford is going to be a really good player. He's just a freshman. Juan Lane has shown some flashes. We need Kite to come on. He's got the ability. He's learning how to be disciplined and do your job over and over again. So I think we've made progress there, creating some depth behind Conte and Cam Lee. Safeties guys, Harris Love is coming on. Jeremy Thompson, obviously, is one of the leaders back there with Champ and Caleb Wooten. But we're going to need Sylvester and Terrence to play a lot of snaps, and Robinson has got a chance to help us there too.
Third row, back.
Coach, seems like the changing of the guard at the coordinator spots on both sides of the football. You guys added a ton of energy. I mean, Nix brings it, Kelly brings it, DJ brings it. Just how intentional was that? Like, we need you guys to kind of bring the juice, and just kind of how have you seen that affect the guys?
It was absolutely necessary for me to do that, for my sanity, for my health. I have to have some help with that, and DJ and Charles and Nix and really have helped me with that. So I think it's become contagious. I think the kids see it. I think it breeds over even some confidence to them, and so I couldn't be more pleased with the chemistry of the staff right now.
Dr. Rupp.
Morning, Coach. Overall, could you tell us, in your own opinion, who has impression throughout camp, who's really stood out?
I hate just talking about who is. I think that the whole group has given incredible effort. I mean, if you start on the D line, obviously Keldrick and J-Mac, what they can do and what they're going to be. And those inside guys rotating have been pretty impressive. The rotation, Keon Crawford has stood out. He's going to give us valuable minutes. And Marsh Williams is going to be really, really talented. So I'd say it's probably that front that stood out to me as, all right, we've got more depth there than we had last year.
You got your front right, Philip.
You in these different days, is redshirting players almost just a thing of the past since they can now leave? And that's one question. And two, how challenging is it if somebody's really not ready to play or play much, to make him understand so he doesn't just take off and leave?
That is incredibly challenging today to explain to someone this is going to be best for you long term. And I wish I could get Van Jefferson on the phone or DK Metcalf maybe and say, look, explain to them how you redshirt year one was really good for you. And but that's not the easiest thing to explain for sure. I don't even begin to think about redshirting at this point until we kind of get into the season, a few games, and see how everybody's processing and the chances they get on the field. There are a few right now that I would look at that I think are going to be, even to the point of NFL players. But it's probably in their best interest if they were to give it a year. But most of the time that's hard for them to see. So that's a difficult challenge. But we'll play each individual by ear, and it's really a week-to-week deal of seeing kind of where they're at that point and where we are with a healthy roster.
Go to Dan on the second row, then Brian on the front row, and then a few follow-ups.
Coach, you're evaluating 9 receivers, 9 scholarship receivers, 7 of them new to the team. What are the most important factors, and has there been any separation so far at the receiver position?
Boy, if I were to go through them, Dre's been solid. He's been a good leader. Robert Lewis is really taken on a leadership role in that room. They're both going to be dependent upon to give us solid minutes and to do the right things and the needed things. Sam Jackson's got some maturity and some experience that hopefully will help. And Camden Brown obviously is an incredible teammate and a solid player in that room that you can depend upon. Caleb, the same. Then you go to those young kids that are all super talented. Like really talented. And how ready will they be? It's hard to see or to say, but I'm excited about them for sure. We tossed Malcolm a little tall sweep in the first little red zone lockout competition from the 25-yard line, and he looked like an absolute jet, and he was just untouched, and we didn't have that type of weapon last year, and he just loves the game, and he's coming on pretty fast, as is Bryce is playing faster. And, Perry and Cam have the bodies right now to do that. You know, there's a lot of things to learn, for sure, particularly the top end of the route stuff for them and how to play fast every play. And, but I'm pleased with where that room is right now.
Brian?
Yes, Coach, so what's the plan for Saturday where you guys do some scrimmaging?
I don't know. We sure need to tackle some, but then I'm not on my phone all day pretty much, and then I open up the deck on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, and see that a team in our conference lost their starting tailback. You know, and it just, man, that keeps you up at night. Not all of the scrimmage will be live, but my plan currently is, yes, there will be a portion of Thud and then a portion of live. And in the portion of live, there'll probably be a few people that don't participate in
Go back row.
Hey Coach, Caleb Jones, Rivals. From a recruiting perspective, how are things going in your eyes, and what is it right now that's got kids buying into Auburn?
I think we've been consistent with our message. I think if our message is pretty simple, come and see. And we think that Auburn has a different environment and culture than many. I'm not saying that that's best for everyone or that we're better than someone else, but I do think we're different. And I think there's a lot of families that when they get here, they sense that. Obviously, we've got a competitive, fair NIL with Own to Victory. I think that's a part of the discussion. We can't sit here and say it's not, but it's not like we're crazy with it. I'm very upfront and say I think you know there things in life should be earned, and I think we're fair. I think that helps, but I really think it's the culture that people believe. And I've got a good staff that does a great job with it and building relationships with them and their families, and so I'm pleased with where we currently are. Do we need a few more pieces to the puzzle? Yes, and we're working hard at that, and hopefully can land a few more of those. And you know, we've made it a priority to start here in state, and I think right now we're in a good position with that plan that we put in place. It seems to have been beneficial and worked to this point. Obviously, it's never over, but you know, yeah, I'm pleased right now. I don't know, we're in the top 10 in the country, I would think, and that's where you got to stay if you want to compete. And if we can finish out with a few more pieces that we're targeting, I think you know we'll been able to stack a 25 class on top of the 24, which I think was a really solid class also. So pretty comfortable where we are right now.
A few follow-ups and then we'll conclude, second row.
Hugh, we've heard from the offensive lines and the running backs that the running game has gone pretty well so far in camp. What's your assessment of y'all's ground attack? You feel like you guys have made some good progress there?
Well, I think we have a ways to go with that, truthfully. But some of it is you're not planning for the fronts every day. And here's another front that, oh crap, you know, and you're trying to run this new blocking scheme, and this will be one where I won't pay to get out of it. And so that's where we are right now, is now we're at a point of, I don't think we have any more runs going in. Not that we don't have others, but I consider them auxiliary runs where, all right, this week this could be good and you put it in that week. But our base runs are now pretty much in, and now it's a matter of us getting out of it if it's not the right look, and what do you go to, and making sure our quarterbacks understand that. So it's probably some of that too, where we just ran this blocking scheme into a tight front, and it's just not going to be very beneficial. So I like our run game. We've gotten back to exactly what I'm used to from my days in the past, and I know it has answers. We just got to make sure we do a good job teaching what the answers are.
Back row.
Coach, can you speak on the progression from year one to year two now with you at the helm, as well as just the team's identity overall going into the season?
The team's culture is better, the team's chemistry is better, the team's accountability is better, the effort's better, our roster's better. I don't know what that means for year two, but I enjoy where we are right now.
We're gonna wrap up with Mike and then Jason, front row.
Last year, midway through camp, he described Peyton Thorne as pressing, following up on his performance this spring. You feel like he's worked through the things that you saw last spring, and what is the biggest difference you see in him this fall camp versus last year?
Yeah, I don't really won't even remember last year. I just, I just think he's, but I don't want to set him up for undue criticism or anything. I mean, obviously quarterbacks are going to have that if you don't have success, and they're going to get all the praise if you do have success. But I'm pleased with exactly where he is. The work we've done in the off season to understand each other has been beneficial. I can see it. I think he's very confident, and obviously having guys that he feels like can win at the top end of the route is helpful too, to eliminate some of that hesitation that I think makes for a really bad decision.
Jason.
You rattled off a bunch of names on both sides of the ball, young guys, that talent, all this. How beneficial can they be on the special team side, and also getting them some experience, even just more than the return game, coverage teams, all those things, when you run through all those guys on both sides of the ball?
Tanner thinks we're leaps and bounds better, going to be leaps and bounds better on all of our coverage teams because of that young depth. We have more guys that can run, and they're bigger and stronger, and that's what you need on some of these coverage units especially. And obviously we feel good. Alex is getting better. He's gaining weight and feeling better every day. So between he and Towns, we feel pretty good there. Feel good about Oscar. But the coverage units, you need bigger, fresher, faster bodies, and Tanner feels like we've improved that.
All right, Coach.